Welcome, everybody, to the Competition Archery Media Podcast, where we explore all things pertaining to competition archery. I'm your host, PJ Reilly, and our CAM podcast is brought to you by our platinum sponsors, True Ball Excel, Matthews, PSE, Black Eagle, Elite, Hoyt, Hampski, B3 Archery, and Easton. And today we have with us in the studio 2022 Vegas champ Casey Kaufhold. Casey, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
How does that title sound?
It sounds good. It's been a long wait for that title, and so I'm happy to finally have it.
I think you said this was the third time you shot in the championship division, recurve?
Yeah, that would have been the third time shot in I call it the big kids class. But yeah, so I was, the first year I shot it, I was third. Second year didn't go very well. I think I was 10th, and so it was good to come back with a first after that.
So there's a bunch of tournaments that you've shot in the past couple months that I want to talk about, but staying with Vegas. So I always think of Vegas like that's the Super Bowl of archery for compound. Is it that way in the recurve world as well? I mean, I guess the Olympics is bigger, but what is it in the recurve world?
It's probably the biggest indoor tournament you could shoot. So like in terms of indoors, I guess you could look at it as the same way. Like,
right.
A whole bunch of countries come, a whole lot of people are there. It's just like neat. You get to shoot in that big stadium. So to me, it's probably like the biggest indoor event to shoot. So yeah, it was fun.
Do you get nervous during that? I mean, it's only, I think of it, it's only. Like I could do any of that stuff, but 30 arrows per day, that's what you shoot. It's not like it's super long, but I mean, I'm guessing that's pretty pressure packed.
Yeah. I mean, to me, qualifications like doesn't have the same pressure as like head-to-head elimination matches do.
Right.
But I mean, I still felt a little bit of pressure because you're like, again, it's this huge event. There's a whole bunch of people. And it's just like very busy. Like Vegas is a very busy event for me between like sponsorship stuff, seeing people that I haven't seen for a long time, shooting and all that. So, like I sometimes feel the pressure of like, oh, you have to perform like for your sponsors and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I do enjoy it and it's fun for me.
What were your scores each day? Do you remember?
Yeah, I started off strong with a 296.
Okay.
Then I had a 292 and a 293. They were all good rounds, and I think I learned something from each one. And overall, I think I could have shot a little better, but I can't really complain about a first place finish. So
because you have shot 300s over at the academy, I know you've done that. Did you feel? I think you ended up winning by 5. You didn't have to go to a shoot off.
Yeah, by
you won
4, I think.
outright.
Yeah,
4.
Yeah.
Did you feel pressure anywhere along the way, like the last day, knowing you had a lead? Were you keeping track of scores? How does that go for you?
So an interesting thing they do on the last day is they put you on your target barrels in order of your rank. And so the first 2 days, it's just random.
Right.
And then on the last day, so like I was in first and I was on a bale with second and third. And then Greg White, actually. So,
right.
And,
random.
Yeah. So, yeah, he was just in there because of the line times, but I was shooting with second and third place. And so like in my head, I knew like, okay, I have a 4-point lead. And as long as I just keep pace, like I just need to keep pace. Like it doesn't have to be anything extraordinary. Like, of course I always want to do my best, but like I knew that if I like just shot good shots, like I wouldn't have any problems.
Did you, you're doing the math in your head, obviously, every end. Did it ever swing anywhere close? Did it ever get closer than 4 points?
I think at one point it was 2 points between me and second. And then I had a pretty strong, like, last couple ends that brought me back up to 4 points ahead.
Now, that's the part. Because we were just talking about in league last night, you destroyed me and Kyle. Yeah. And I noticed once the wheels started coming off my cart, they just kept going off. How do you bring it back when you're in the middle of actual scoring?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because when you say like you have a strong start and then like it might not go so well, like it's hard to bring yourself back up to like that strong normal shooting. But for me, like I'm usually pretty good at picking out what I'm doing wrong most of the time. Like I can either feel it in my shot, or depending on where the arrows go in the target. Like if they're going right, I know I'm doing something on my bow side. If they're going high, I need to have a stronger follow through. Or if they're going low, sometimes I have to have a stronger follow through. So kind of just like I analyze what I like, where the pattern is on the target, and like I just try not to get frustrated. I think that's when you get frustrated, you just tense up and it's not going to go well. So I just try to stay relaxed.
I can
and
vouch
stay
for that.
calm. Yeah.
When I get mad, it doesn't go
Doesn't
well.
go well. Yeah.
The group even gets even wider.
Yeah. And then you get more upset. Yeah.
So I guess I don't even know what for Vegas. What do you win as in recurve championship?
I don't know how much money it was. I'm not really sure. It's a good chunk of change, we'll call it. Not as good as like the compound. Like I know Bodie won like $50,000, so it's nowhere near that. But for me, it's a good amount.
So obviously, I'm sure Olympics is out there yet. But besides Olympics, what titles are there out there yet that you have your sights set on?
Definitely World Cup final. I'd like to win that. I was in it this past year.
Right.
I shot okay. I could have done better. I think I ended up 6th. And then World Champion, I was close. This past year I was 2nd.
We're going to talk about that one.
Yeah. So that was a good tournament for me, and I definitely enjoyed like being on that sort of stage. And so, that's one that I'm definitely looking forward to.
So when you shot Vegas, and like we mentioned, you didn't have to go to a shoot off because you just won it on score. Is there any crowd in the stands on that last day? Times I've been there, it's sporadic. Mm-hmm. It's not kind of concentrated crowd, but to you shooting, does it feel like that's a spectator event?
Yeah, I do feel that way. I had my parents there. I had one of my coaches, Dick Tone, he was there. And a couple of Joad kids came to watch on my last day. And so, like, I knew that there were people watching. I just, like, I didn't think of it as pressure. I just thought of it like, oh, wow, they're going to watch me win Vegas. Like, it's it's fun to have people there for me.
And then as compared to the World Championship, where you took 2nd, to me, that looks like more of a spectator. I mean, you're in a stadium. It's head-to-head, 1 versus 1.
Yeah, that one definitely a lot more people were watching. It was live broadcast, and there were a whole bunch of people like actually there in the stands. Right. That one was a neat one because my mom got to see it. Like she hasn't really been able to travel a whole lot, just because of my dad's health and stuff like that. So it was good for to have her be there. And I remember once I made it past my semis match, like I just saw her in the crowd, and she was so excited. So it was nice to have a lot of people there.
That's the one that was in Yankton,
mm-hmm.
and it was the World Cup final and the World Championships. Which was first?
World Championships were first.
The championship, and mm-hmm. that's where you finished 2nd.
Yes.
So your match against Ansan,
mm-hmm.
how do you pronounce that?
Ansan.
Ansan, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe you're the only person to beat her
in 2021
in competition. What was that like?
That was like thinking every time I think back on that day, like it just makes me emotional because I'm 17. I am shooting against some of the best in the world, one of them being 3 gold medalist, Olympic champion.
She won mixed team too.
So it's just like, she's good. Like she's amazing. And so I walked out onto the stage and I was like, I have nothing to lose. Like if I lose this match, like it's okay. Like it's not okay. Like I definitely wanted to win, but I'm shooting against Olympic champion. Like whatever happens. I'm going to take it as a good experience. And so I got out there and I didn't want to feel nervous. Although I did, I didn't focus on the nervousness. It was more like, I felt privileged to be able to shoot against an archer like her. And so just focused on my shot. And I mean, I can't really say that there's been a better match that I've shot. Like I just felt really calm and trusted myself, and it went really well.
So I wanted to ask about that because I know Kyle will edit in all that cool footage of that. But how did that refresh my memory on how that match went? got out to 4.0, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. And then what happened? That's where I don't remember.
So my first two ends were 29s. Her first two ends were 28s. So it was 4.0. My third end was a 27. Hers was a 28. Okay. So then it went to 4.2. I still had a lead. And then the last end, her first arrow was a 7.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, like I've never seen a Korean shoot a 7. Like, what's happening? And so I shot my first shot and it was an 8. And I was like, okay, that kind of deserved to be an 8. Like it didn't feel like a good shot. I was really shaky just because, nerves. And so she shoots her second shot and she shoots an 8.
Right.
And I was like, holy crap, like I've never seen this before. And so I was like, okay, I just need to focus on me. Shot a 10. Her last shot was a 9. I shot a 10 to finish it and won the match. Yeah.
Do you have any idea what was going on over there? Like, was it just in her head or?
I mean, I don't like.
You're not paying attention to her, I'm guessing, so you don't know what she's doing.
I couldn't exactly tell you like what was going through her mind, but I mean like it's just pressure. Like that's happened to me before where I've shot well and then you get to that last end and the pressure just hits you and sometimes you beat it, sometimes you don't. And so, I mean, little things can happen in your shot to make them go into the red, especially at 70 meters.
70 meters, yeah.
So, I mean, it happens to anybody. It's just that moment was my time and unfortunately for her, it wasn't hers.
And then there's not much time between your next match, correct?
Yeah, it's like so that was the semis match and I think there was one other semis match before us or after us, and then it was the bronze match and then the gold match. So
gotcha.
It went pretty fast.
Yeah. When you won that one, do you have your phone with you? Is it like blowing up? Everybody's texting you.
Yeah, I got a lot of texts that I didn't answer till after because I didn't want to be distracted in the middle of the whole competition. But a lot of texts. I got a lot of calls after. A lot of people just being like, "Holy crap, that just happened!" And I was like, "I'm thinking the same thing." So yeah, everybody was super supportive and congratulative, and yeah.
What do you do in that time between that match and your gold medal match? What are you doing?
Are
you right? Do you stay there? Do you go
you
somewhere?
kind of just there's a little tent before you get up onto the stage and you kind of just hang out there, talk to your coach. I think I sat in the stands because the stands were really close to where we were walking into the stage. I think I just sat with my mom and I remember after my match, she came down to the staging area to see me and I picked her up and I spun her in a circle because I was really happy. And we kind of just talked for a little bit and then before you know it, it's time to go back out.
Yeah,
again.
right. Mm-hmm. And then the gold medal match, I forget who that was against.
Zhang Minhee.
Yeah, right.
Also from Korea.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did that one go?
I have mixed feelings about that match. I felt like my shots were good. It was an interesting thing that was happening. I would shoot 2 good first arrows. I always had 10-9 almost every time in my first 2 arrows. And then my last arrow would be an 8.
Huh.
And it was Heather, my coach, was there and I'd look back to her and I'd be like, that didn't look like it, that didn't feel like it was supposed to be an 8. And she said it looked good. So I watched the video back a lot and I'm still not sure what was making shots go more out into the 8, but I'd barely shot an 8 all day before that. So it could have just been pressure. Like I said before, just the littlest bit of pressure can make you feel different in your shot. So it could have definitely been that. But it's still a mystery to me of how that all went, but I'm still proud of it. Silver medal anyway. Yeah.
And that is the first medal the U.S. has had in the World Championships in recurve in
33 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah, long time.
Just in case there are people who aren't familiar with it, for you at 70 meters, what's your sight picture? What do you use for an aperture?
Yeah, I use a ring with a little green fiber in it.
Okay.
And from 70 meters, I can see about the black ring on the target and in from that. It looks very small from way out there. But I guess I'm just used to it because compound you use magnification. So you see a little bit different than how a recurve would see. And every time I show a compound person who's never shot recurve my bow, they're like, oh, how do you see without magnification? And it's just I'm used to it. I don't, yeah.
So now, obviously, you have some pin float. What's your scope doing? Scope, I say. It's not actually a scope, but what's your aperture doing when you're coming through the clicker and just about to shoot?
So usually I draw up, and then as the sight comes down, like it comes down directly from like 12 o'clock on a clock face. And it kind of just like, it does like a little dip around the bottom of the 10, and then it kind of like does just the usual bob. Like nobody can stand perfectly still. So It just kind of does like that little, like a J shape, and then it kind of floats a little. And I don't really pay attention to it like too much because I'm not a big aimer. Like, I think that stresses me out, like, if I focus too much on aiming rather than just, like, seeing the middle through the sight.
Okay.
It's just a little bit different mentally. But, yeah, for the most part, it kind of just floats.
Huh. And now, you've been shooting recurve how long? You're 17.
I've been competing with an Olympic recurve for almost 10 years.
10 years,
Yeah.
okay. Are you seeing that those issues in the fingers that we hear about from recurve? Calluses or ligaments or...
I definitely have some calluses, not as bad as most people get, actually. I've been very fortunate that, like, I don't know why I don't get calluses as bad as some people do. Like, in the past, when I was going up in weight as I was younger, like, on draw weight, it would start to hurt just because your fingers aren't used to it. And then they build calluses, and eventually, like, the calluses turn into skin almost, and they don't really hurt or peel or anything anymore. I know Brady's had a lot of trouble with calluses in the past and some nerve damage, but I've been lucky to not really have any issues with that.
Yeah. How much are you holding? What's your draw weight now?
I'm at 40 pounds.
And do you shoot that indoors and outdoors?
Yeah, indoors and outdoors. This outdoor season, I'm looking to get closer to 42. I've started lifting weights, and so that's a goal of mine by like mid outdoor season, get up to 42 and just be able to like hold that weight steadily and not have it like hurt or anything.
Right. Just to get that speed. You want that arrow speed down, right?
Especially for outdoors, like when you have to aim off, the faster the arrow goes, the faster it gets to the target. So it won't be affected by wind as much.
So then that leads me to you're wearing your Texas A&M jersey there.
Yeah.
You recently announced, I saw on social media, you're going to Texas A&M.
I am.
To shoot archery.
I'm very excited. Ever since I was little, I think the first time I ever talked to somebody from A&M was my first Vegas. I think I was 10 or 11. So ever since then, like, I've wanted to go. It seems like such a good atmosphere. The coaches are really nice and super, like, happy to help you with whatever you need, and good education as well. They have a good program that I'm looking forward to, and I know a lot of people there. Connor, my brother, goes there. My boyfriend Stefan, he goes there. And so, I know a lot of good people there, and so it'll be happy to join the crew.
What are you, archery aside, what are you planning to study?
So my degree will be called Visualizations. It's creative designing and planning for architecture with a business background. Architecture?
Mm-hmm. And what's your plans with that? I thought you were going to be doing something with design.
Yeah.
Clothes.
So I have a couple different ideas with what I want to do. Like, I can see myself doing architecture. I can see myself doing something within fashion. I can see myself doing something within like wedding planning. I think like it's all about creative design pretty much. And so the major that I'm looking to go into like has a whole bunch of different angles of design and creativity and stuff like that. So it has a very broad range of topics that can really apply to anything.
And so you have an archery scholarship. That's something they do, archery scholarship. What's the team like? I don't know much about collegiate archery. I've seen the 3D finals. That's about it. Okay,
yeah. I've never been to a collegiate event, but my brother Connor has, and he says that is the most fun he has ever had in archery. Outdoor collegiate nationals, like all the teams go and like they all dress up in like fun stuff on the team round days, and they just like so much school spirit, and it's so fun to see like just pictures of it, and I can't wait to be a part of it. Like,
when is archery? Is it a fall sport, spring sport?
It's all year round for them.
Oh, it is all year.
There.
Okay.
So like they just did their nationals last week, indoor nationals, and then they do like a little bit of 3D as well. And then in the summer they do most of the outdoor tournaments.
Now Connor, he came up shooting Olympic recurve, but I believe he's shooting bow hunter.
He is shooting
college.
bow hunter right now. Yeah, his goal throughout college is to make All-American with all 4 disciplines. So he made All-American last year with Olympic recurve. He's hoping to do it this year with bow hunter. Next year with either target compound or bare bow, and then whichever he hasn't done yet his last year.
So those bare bow is the other discipline.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow, that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, he's really excited about it. And so far he's doing good. Like I said, he just did nationals last week with bow hunter, and he shot really well. I think he had a 594 and a 596.
Oh,
so,
okay.
And they shoot outer 10 for collegiate bow hunter,
yeah.
but still it's a good score for him.
And so you're just going to shoot Olympic recurve.
Yeah, that's what I'm planning on.
So are there other archers? I want to make sure I phrase this correctly. Are there archers at your level there of Olympic recurve? And by that I mean women who are trying out for the Olympic team, USA Archery, all that.
Yeah, one of them is Reilly Marks. That's actually Connor's girlfriend, who I'll be living with next year. She is definitely looking forward to doing Olympic trials in 2024.
Okay.
And she's done most of the USATs and stuff like that. One who's made a World Cup team is Trenton Cowles. He shoots for the men's side of recurve.
Right.
And he and I have similar training programs and scores and stuff like that. So I think once I get there, he'll be one to that I'll do matches with just to kind of push me a little bit and just have some friendly competition.
It's probably better training weather there year round. You don't have to deal with stuff like the last week.
Yes, I think it's snowed twice there this year, and it's snowed a lot here this year. And their average temperature in the winter is 55, which is paradise compared to Lancaster winter. So I'll be happy for some outdoor weather there.
That'll probably give us opportunity to store some more stuff in your shed then, your shooting shed while you're gone.
Yeah, that's true. I bet somebody's going to move in there by the time I'm
gone. So with that, what do you see yourself doing? Brady's just did his, 4th Olympics, I believe. What do you see for that? I mean, you're young, the world's ahead of you, but in your mind, I imagine you have some kind of vision of what you see all this.
Yeah, so I'm pretty young, like you said, yet, and I see myself doing a lot of Olympic Games. I know it'll be tough training with college still, but I think as long as I prioritize what's most important, I'll be able to keep good grades and keep shooting and hopefully make the Olympic team and win some medals in Paris in 2024. So that's definitely looking in the future, want to accomplish that. My main goal in archery is just to kind of change women's archery and make the women's scores a little closer to the men's scores. That's really what I want to do. I want to inspire young girls to really just be motivated and do what they want to do and go out there and just crush it, whether it's other females that are competing against them or shooting better than the guys. And I think that's something I've really enjoyed over the past couple years is just shooting with the guys. At Olympic trials on the last day, we did round robin matches, and I had the highest end average of the day. I had a 28.5 average, and that just felt good. Especially at Olympic trials, to say you beat all the women and all the guys on that day, that's pretty fun. And so it just keeps me motivated and determined to do better.
So you're on track to graduate this spring, which would have been normal for you. What was that year like for you last year given the way it went, it was really 2 years that you had to deal with kind of Olympics and school. What did that look like?
It was mostly online school, which I've done it and I've done well at it. I just don't enjoy it as much as in-person schooling. That's what I'm doing now. My senior year, I'm full in person in class. My junior year, I did all online. My sophomore year, I did half in person, half online, and same for my freshman year. So I haven't really had a full year of in school yet. So that's what I'm taking this year to do, to kind of be a normal teenager. Because in the past years, it's been all about training. Because leading up to the Olympics, I wanted to be as ready as I possibly felt I could. So put a lot more time into training, competing, and stuff like that. And I'm still doing that now. I just kind of want 1 year of a bit more normalcy before I go off to college.
Do you, when you're doing your online schooling, I mean, So you don't get homework. It's all homework.
Pretty much.
Are there tests? I can't even, what does that even look like? How does it function?
Yeah, so it's a lot different than in-person school. Like in-person school, like you have days where you might just be taking notes, like, or hear a lecture or like study a new topic. Like when you're doing online, every single thing you do is graded.
Oh, okay.
And so like it's like you're having a test every day.
Really?
And yeah, so it's just like it's a little bit of a different learning style than in person, but I mean, I still did my work, and I didn't think I retained as much information as I do now, like in person, because it's kind of just like you remember it till you have to take a test, and then you forget it and move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Like, and there was no like final test, so you kind of just go through the chapters and just take it one thing at a time. Where like in-person school, like you have different units, and then you're tested on those units, and then at the end you have a final which has everything. So like I feel like I'm remembering the information better now doing in person than I did like on online, where it's just one thing after another.
And do you work with a live teacher on the other end of the computer, or is it all recorded and taped?
On the computer. Like it wasn't even my teachers teaching, like it was just like a online course. So like I never met the teachers that were like grading the stuff, I guess you could call it. But I much prefer like I'm a very social person, so I like having like classmates and like an actual teacher that I can ask questions to, and yeah.
Isn't that weird though, going from 2 years of basically not being in school, and now this year you're in school?
Yeah, it's definitely different. Like I noticed myself not like knowing certain things about the school. Like I didn't know we had a pep rally in the spring, because I've never been in school in the spring. So like I've always been in the fall semester, and we have like a pep rally before homecoming, and it's all fun. And then this spring semester coming up, like everybody's like talking about the pep rally. I'm like, there's a pep rally in the spring? Like I had no clue. So it's just like little things here and there that I'm like, wow, that's something I definitely missed out on in the past.
Nobody tried to send you to a place that doesn't exist? Like, hey, do you know it's over by the pool?
Yeah, there is no pool. Yeah, I haven't had any of that, but like I'm a senior, so like people think I like know where things are. So like freshmen and sophomores like will pass me and be like, hey, where's like classroom 102? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm sorry, I haven't been here that long. I don't really know, but I try to help as much as I can. But it's kind of funny because usually the upperclassmen are supposed to know everything, and I don't know everything. So.
Then in college, I imagine that's going to be normal.
Yeah, I think it'll be like a little more normal with scheduling and stuff, and be all in person, and kind of have some own time for myself as well. Like talking to the people who are there now, like the way they built their schedule, it's kind of nice. Like there's kind of two different ways to stack your schedule. Like you can have it so that you have big breaks in between classes that you can go practice, or like most people do it all in the morning, like all their classes in the morning or all their classes in the afternoon. That way they can practice in whichever half of the day they have more time.
And do you, for your training, the way that you do your shooting, do you need to shoot every day?
Yes. Very much so. I notice a big difference in just how I feel if I take one day off.
No kidding.
I know a lot of people say like they need a rest day a week, but if I take a day off, the next day I'm sore. So like I don't know why. Like it's rare if I ever take a day off.
Really?
Yeah. Like I just am a person who like just needs to keep going, or I will feel very, very sore.
And how many, let's say your lightest day, how many hours would that be?
Lightest day, I'd say 100.
100.
Or unless I have like a competition, like most Sundays I go and shoot a local tournament, and that'll only be 60 arrows.
Oh, gotcha.
But that'll probably be my lightest out of anything.
Okay, archery. We know Archery Casey. What kind of things do you do when you are not doing archery?
Oh, that's a good question. I recently started to get into lifting more. I take a class in school it's pretty much like 3 days a week you lift, 2 days a week you do cardio. So like that's something that I've picked up and I really enjoy. I just think I feel more fit, and I want to be able to like draw more weight, and so that's what I've been working on in the weight room, just strengthening my back more than anything, in my core as well, because that's important to archery.
Is there specific things that archers need to know should be doing?
Yeah, I'd say definitely core strength is the biggest thing, just because like that's your foundation of your shot. Like if you don't have stability, you're going to be moving all over the place and it just won't feel as repeatable as if you have like a good balance and structure to your shot. So I'd say
so that brings up a question.
Strength.
I've seen this training thing online, especially with recurve archers, where you stand on this ball.
Yes.
What could that possibly do?
It's harder than it looks, honestly.
It looks impossible.
Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking.
So the one I use is called a Bosu ball. It looks like a yoga ball, but it's like cut in half.
Yeah.
And then it has like the flat side on it.
The flat side.
And like it's really, really good for testing like what part of your shot gets weak. Like are
you supposed to be able to hit the middle?
Yeah.
And stand on that?
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, the goal is to be able to shoot on that as steady as you shoot on the ground. And I actually did that last week for training, and like I find it fun. I think it's like a challenge. So for me, like once I come into anchor, sometimes I have a tendency to lean forward. So if you're up on that Bosu ball and you lean forward going in anchor, you're going down.
Right.
So it really trains you well to like figure out what parts of your shot get weak and just correct it so you have that even balance.
Man, yeah, I watch that and I just think, I don't know how I would hit anything. But I guess from what you're saying is ideally you'll be perfectly balanced on that thing.
Yeah, and it might not be perfect because, of course, like it's tougher to balance on that than on the ground. But you should definitely like not feel like you're about to fall off every shot. Like it might feel like that at first, but then once you like figure some things out and kind of get it more smoothed out, it's more towards your normal shot.
Yeah. You're not scoring. You're not necessarily shooting for score anyway. I imagine it's just trying to do the
training
best you
purposes.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So you shoot on this impossible ball thing. I was also supposed to ask you, do you know who Kygo is?
Oh, who's Kygo?
See, I knew it. Kyle's going to chime in here probably.
Kyle, what's Kygo?
So when we're on the road a lot, whoever's driving gets to play the music.
Okay.
And one of the other guys that are with us, his name's Colton Dunkel. You know him.
Yeah.
He when he's driving, he likes playing like EDM.
Okay.
So the names that come up are always funny to PJ because they're just random.
Okay.
But slowly, we're getting him into EDM, and I think eventually that will be his top genre in PJ's playlist.
I don't think so.
What would you prefer to listen to?
I always have the classic rock station on there.
Okay.
I think on satellite it's vinyl, classic vinyl.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll get in the truck and this song will be playing. And then it'll be like 40 minutes later, and I'm like, is this still the same song?
It like all sounds
and sometimes
the same.
it is, but sometimes it isn't. And apparently Kygo is one that Colton knows.
That is a funny name.
It's just always that one that's playing too. It's always one of those.
Constant. But you listen to country, I believe.
I listen to a lot of country.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about all. Like I'll dabble in some like rap hip hop sometimes, but I know they're two very different things. But I mostly listen to country.
Mostly to country. Okay. So you could go to any concert. You have your pick. Anyone you can go to. Who are you going to see?
I'm going to see a Morgan Wallen concert in June. Right?
You are going.
It's the day that I graduate. So I have my graduation in the morning, and then my boyfriend Steph and I are going to drive to Virginia and see Morgan Wallen. So I'm very excited about that one. But other than Morgan Wallen, I'd say if he was still doing concerts, George Strait. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that would be a good one to see. Yeah, you'd have to see that.
A lot of good songs.
I think that's good to have the mix of all different types. Because if you're just one type,
then
what are you gonna do?
It gets boring, yeah. So I like to mix it up. Like when I'm just like driving in the car, or like if I'm getting ready in the morning, I'll be doing country. But then when I go to the gym, like country is a little too slow for like the gym.
Yes.
So that's when I'll put on like some Kendrick Lamar. I like Childish Gambino, Post Malone. Sometimes he has some good songs. But yeah.
Gotcha. That was the first name you mentioned that I recognized.
Post
I didn't know
Malone.
the other ones. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't even know if that's male or female. Is
Post
that a guy?
Malone?
Yes.
Post Malone is a man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't even know what music they play. But I would imagine, like, if you're saying you shoot every day, and you have your studies and all that. There's probably not a whole lot of downtime in Casey Kaufhold's life, I would imagine.
Yeah, not too much. I mean, definitely on the weekends a little bit more because you don't have school. On the weekends, I like to hang out with friends, and I do some painting and drawing as well. I'm a very creative, artistic person, so I like to just do that. It's very calming to me to kind of just like not focus on anything else except art for a little while.
And now let's talk about what is your involvement in Lancaster Archery. Obviously, this is the big thing that allows you to do what you do, and it's huge to the family and any special events. I know you're always there. But for you, how does Lancaster Archery fit in other than being the place that's next door where you can go shoot your bow?
Lancaster Archery for me is a chance to touch like a small world of archery. Other than just me competing, like people might come up and like say hi and like I'll meet them real quick. But the group of like Joad kids at Lancaster Archery is like a group of people that I really get to talk to and enjoy spending time with. And so I've been on the Joad team for so long, and I've kind of like gone through different stages of it, of like me being the young kid who looked up to all like the teenagers being like, oh, I want to shoot like them one day, and then like eventually getting there, and then accomplishing things outside of just like Joad accomplishments, like doing USAT team, then World Cup team, then like winning medals internationally, like stuff like that. So it's been fun to kind of grow through that and then start to see some of the Joad kids kind of do the same thing and be able to teach them a couple things and kind of give them advice on just different stages of archery. And I really enjoy helping kids like that.
Is it cool to you when you go to all these tournaments, even tournaments all over the world, and see that Lancaster Archery logo there? Sponsored by Lancaster Archery.
Yeah, it is really cool. Like I think the first time I ever realized like how big Lancaster Archery was is I went to my first senior international competition in Luxembourg in 2018, and I walked into like the practice range one day and everybody was like, oh, hi, Rob, how's it going? Like, and it was, Rob's my dad. And like, it was just crazy. I was like, how do you know these people? Like, how do these people know you? Like, it was crazy. And everybody was wearing like Star Archery hats and stuff. And it's like, you don't really realize how big it is until you see that. So it's really neat.
It every now and then I have to stop and look around because I used to come to the shop in the late 80s. Totally different than they still had the machine shop underneath. Yeah. It was basically a small local archery shop. And then to see this thing that it has become is just unbelievable. And, you know, your dad leading the way and giving back to everything. You know, if there's a tournament out there, boom, Lancaster Archery is going to sponsor it. So that's always... Yeah, I wondered what it looked like for you because you kind of grew up in it. And
yeah, I definitely remember when this was, I think, 2014 or 2015, I think we moved into this building here in Leola. But before that, there, like, the whole warehouse was on one floor under the pro shop. And, like, there were so many, like, tight packed lanes of product. And I remember Connor and I would, like, run through the lanes and, like, have fun, like, while my parents were working. Because, like, what else are kids going to do in a big warehouse, you know? And, like, to think that small little area, which is, like, only half of our lanes at the academy now, like, that used to be what this whole big building here is like now. Like, that's crazy.
And now this is even too small.
Yeah, I know. We're growing out of this already, and it's only been like, what, 6-7 years? Yeah.
So then as you started having more and more success, do you remember when you signed your first autograph?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think it was after Luxembourg. 2018, I won the World Indoor Series stage there in Luxembourg. And I think that was probably my first one because, like, I was this 14-year-old kid and I just won a senior event, and apparently people think that's pretty cool. So, yeah, I think that was probably the first time I had ever done an autograph. Like, there were a bunch of little kids there from the local club. Yeah. And so they were like, holy crap, she's, like, just like us. Like, they were the same age. So it was cool.
Do you ever stop and think about that aspect of it? That you're competing on the biggest stages, but you're 17.
Yeah.
And these other people are older. There's
Yeah.
Katuna Lorg. How many Olympics has she been to?
I think 4 or 5. Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's gotten more normal as the years have gone on. I think just recently I realized I'm not the cool young kid anymore because I think the Vegas Shoot Instagram posted 2 teenagers won championship divisions at the Vegas Shoot. And I was like, technically 3.
That's right.
But I'm not the cool young kid. Like, I mean, congrats to Bodie and Liko. They both shot amazing.
Yes.
But it was just kind of funny. I was like, I guess I'm an adult now. Like, it was just funny.
They're just thinking, Casey, she won Vegas. Okay.
Yeah, I just had to laugh at it.
I did see that, and I wondered why they had that there. I was like, there's only 2 photos here, and Casey also won. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That's funny. So for between like indoor, so Vegas was a goal of yours. I would imagine most of your training is 70 meters. What's that like going back and forth between indoor? Because is that a totally different game? I'm assuming it is.
Yeah.
But is it?
It's definitely a little bit different, just because of the exactness of indoors, I'd call it. I shoot, if I'm shooting indoors and like I'll shoot a 9, I'll be like slightly upset. And then if I shoot a 9 outdoors, it'd just be like, okay, cool, yellow, let's keep going. Like, it's just funny how the mentality is a little bit different. But most of the time, like, my shot stays the same. My equipment, for the most part, stays the same. So, like, that transition is easy. It just mentally, like, sometimes you gotta adjust your expectations based on the climate you're shooting.
Right. Have you played around with the larger diameter arrows for indoor?
When I was younger, yes. I will most likely never go back.
No.
I just think it takes a very specific shooting style and setup to shoot big arrows forgivingly on a recurve.
Okay.
Just with the poundage I'm shooting, the draw length I have, I just don't think they're as forgiving as small arrows. Somebody more like Brady, who has a long draw length, shoots a lot of weight, and has like close to perfect shot most of the time, like he can get away with shooting big arrows. I just think like with how I shoot, I shoot a lot better with skinny arrows.
With the skinnies.
Yeah.
I remember standing behind Brady in the academy watching him, and his arrows were going down range, crooked.
Yeah.
But they kept hitting the 10.
Yeah.
So I was focused on how they were flying. I was like, Brady, those things fly horribly. He said, I don't care. They hit the 10.
Yeah. I mean, if it gets there, it gets there.
Oh, man. Is there, as you look at recurve archery, like you said, you want to make the women's scores more like the men's and grow that. Is there, what do you see as like the things holding it back?
That's something that I have thought a lot about, but I haven't come up with an answer quite yet.
No.
I think because if you think about it, it's just people.
Yeah.
And like, it's not like a sport such as like sprinting, where just the muscle mass on a male is much greater than most females, where like there's an obvious advantage. But like archery, It's just a very repetitive sport. And yes, of course, like there's the draw weight, but I mean, Mackenzie Brown, she used to shoot 48 pounds, which is equal to probably what Brady shoots right now. So, I mean, it's definitely possible for females to shoot the same like setups as males.
Yeah.
And so at that point, it's just who wants it more, who practices harder, who's mentally stronger. And so I think I don't want women to be like, oh, I can't shoot as good as the men because I'm not a male. Like, that's not why. I think it really just boils down to like, how hard are you willing to push yourself? How much drive do you have?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you see when you were starting and shooting competition at the younger ages, it seems to me, looking from the outside, maybe I'm just noticing it more now, that it seems like there are more younger kids, younger girls shooting that style, Olympic recurve. Mm-hmm. Do you see that as well?
Yeah, I think definitely over the past couple of years, we've seen a lot of youth come up, especially women. Like if you look at the World Cup team, like going into this year, it's me, Jennifer Musino, who's I think just turned 19, Gabby Sasai, who is 15, and then Erin, who's been on the circuit for a while. But like just 3 of the 4 are very young.
Right.
And so it's interesting to see like just the change in skill over experience. Like sometimes like you come up and you have like a lot of skill and you just need the experience yet. And so it's neat to see. I think it's a good change. Bring a lot of new athletes into it.
Yeah. The next Olympics, that's the one that are in Los Angeles?
Paris is the next one,
Paris
2024.
is the next
LA
one.
is
Okay.
2028.
Gotcha. Have you started thinking about 2024 already, or is that
Yeah.
still too far away?
No, I think about it all the time. Heck, I think about Australia in 2032. Like I'm like, it never stops. Like that's still the goal. Like I really want to, like I said, change women's archery and shoot well and win medals for the U.S. And that's just my biggest goal. And so, looking in the future, like I know it's going to be tough with college and doing classes and still traveling and all that. But I think if it's what I really want, I'll find a way to make it work.
When do you start, quote unquote, Olympic training? For you, not necessarily for the team, but, in your mind, okay, now I'm building towards the Olympics.
As soon as I am done with this indoor season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like there's not a single day where I shoot for any other goal than eventually winning an Olympic gold medal.
Right.
Because, I mean, like, all the other tournaments are stepping stones to that. It's just the Olympics is the big one. So there's not a day that I don't think about it. There's not an arrow that I shoot that doesn't train for it, especially outdoors. Like, indoors has a different set of tournaments, of course, but, like,
Sure.
Outdoors, main goal all the time.
So what's on your schedule this year?
I actually have a little bit of a lighter schedule this year, which I'm kind of happy about because, like last year was just so packed and crazy. I have all the USATs. I have 2, possibly 3 World Cups. Hopefully World Cup final. I have to be top 8 in the world. I'm 13th right now. So hopefully those 2 or 3 other World Cups will help bring my rank up. And then there might be a Pan Am event sometime this year. And so and nationals, of course. So not as busy as like last year where it was Olympic trials, Olympics, World Championships, World Cup final, World Cups, USATs, nationals.
Every time I saw your
Yeah.
dad, he was going somewhere, and he was talking about sending you somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So Arizona Cup then is first up. That's in
It's first week of April.
first week of April.
Mm-hmm.
Yet. Okay. Are you? I mean, I guess just shooting outdoors is training for that.
Yeah, so I know that one is usually windy, so I'll probably do some, I'll go out on a windy day and do good aiming off practice.
I hate shooting in the wind.
Oh, I like it.
I hate shooting in the
like
wind.
it because I know that I can shoot well in the
See,
wind.
that's why you like it. I
Yeah.
know I'm going to shoot horribly.
I feel like most people get really tense when they shoot in the wind
Yes.
because they're trying so hard to shoot a perfect shot and aim in the perfect spot. But like to me, it's just I know that if my sight is somewhere in the realm of where I need to aim off and I shoot a good shot, it's going to be within 8 and better. And 8 and better in the wind is good most of the time. So I don't know. I find it exciting because I know that I can do it and I know everybody else gets really tense.
Everyone
about it.
else hates it,
Yeah.
like me. Everyone else in the world. Yeah, I need that attitude, boy.
We should train together.
That's right. I feel
We
like
need to work on
I
this.
feel like I would benefit, but I also feel like I'd probably drag you down.
No, I would push you. We
Some
would
of
push
my
each other.
negativity. Casey, God, I just missed again. Darn it. The World Indoor Series. So that's another one that always confuses me, where it's like 2 tournaments, but they're separate in one event. But recurve, I guess there really isn't much of a change. For compound, they have to
Different
get rid
arrows,
of the 27s, go to 23s. Is there a difference for you folks? And how do you get to the finals of the World Indoor Series?
Yeah, so this year it was a little different. Usually there's like 4 or 5 World Indoor Series stages. This year there were only 2. It was Nîmes and then Vegas. And so I didn't even know I was eligible for it.
Yeah.
I signed up for it like in registration way back when I signed up for Vegas because I didn't really know the rules. And so the way I read the rules, it sounded like you had to shoot 2 events. And so I was like, oh, I guess I can't really do it, but I'll just sign up for it just in case like something changes. And so I shot Vegas, and after the second day I was first. So like I get 1,000 points for that event, which is good. And then I would have gotten like 0 from Neem because I didn't shoot Neem.
Right.
And so from the 1,000 points I got, I was in second place out of everybody who shot the World Series. And like I didn't know that. Like I was like, I didn't do any match practice, so I was like, I kind of just went into it blind. And so they take 16 people. So I shot my first couple matches, and my semis match was really good. I shot perfect. I shot a 120 out of 120. So
nice.
we do sets with recurve, so I only had to shoot 4 ends, and I had a 30 each end. Went really well, and so I went into the gold medal match feeling really good. It was an interesting match for me. Like I didn't feel nervous, and it was very odd. Like it was just because I'm so used to, like, naturally you feel nervous when you're shooting in front of a whole bunch of people.
Now that was in front of the big stage.
You're shooting in front of like hundreds of people, like big spotlights, like you can hear the announcer in the back. And so normally like I would be nervous, but it felt so weird to not be nervous. And most people would be like, oh, that sounds great. Like you're not nervous in this big match. But like I had never felt that way in a match before. So it was very odd for me. And
so not being nervous freaked you out.
Yeah, it did. It did a little bit. And so I shot my first end and it was good. I had 29 and I had a 29, I think, every end after that. And like, I don't know, I couldn't get into a rhythm as well as I usually do. Like I didn't shoot necessarily bad. I just didn't shoot as well as I would have liked.
Right.
But
all your other matches were like in the other rooms with the big crowds and with the big lines of shooters.
Yeah, so they have like all the divisions lined up and you kind of just shoot your matches, and then the finals are the ones that are in the big stage.
So did that, as you said, you didn't feel nervous there, but coming out on that big stage, did you miss that for the Vegas finals, or were you happy to just shoot your 3 days and be done with it?
Yeah, I was happy to just kind of like shoot the 3 days and like call it good.
Yeah.
I love shooting matches on stage. Like it's fun, but I kind of like Vegas because I think like qualification has a little bit of a different mentality to it. Like most people, like in a World Cup, let's say, like you shoot your qualification and that doesn't necessarily count towards like you winning. That just gets you into a bracket, and from the bracket is where you win medals. So most people kind of overlook qualifications in a way. And so like in Vegas, like every error in your qualifications matters because there's no matches to come back. So like I'm used to like taking qualifications pretty intensely because I always want to do well and I'm always looking to break records and that sort of thing. So I kind of just stuck to my normal pace and went for it.
Indoors or outdoors?
Outdoors. Yeah, I get a little angry at indoors sometimes because I have shot so many 299s and I've shot 300s before, multiple of them. I get so angry when I shoot a 299 because like it's like fighting fire with fire because it's a good score, but then it's like it could have been a 300.
It's not a 300.
Yeah.
I if I'm shooting, well, doesn't happen often, but it does happen occasionally. That first 9 is just like deflating the balloon. It's just like, oh man.
Yeah, but then like sometimes it's also kind of like relief because like I know like if I'm like 8 ends in and I'm still clean, like on those last 2 ends I'm gonna be like so like if I'm shooting around and like if I drop a 9 on like the second end, I'm just like, cool, it happens. But then like if I'm on my last end and I drop a 9, I am like furious.
The first night of leagues this year, I shot a 300. It's the first 300 I've shot since I was probably 22.
Okay.
It's leagues. It's nothing. Man, that last arrow, I was shaking like a leaf.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it gets you. It does.
I thought, oh man, if I shoot this, it's 300. And I was like millimeters from going out the top.
Oh, really?
It just caught it. I was sweating it till we went down there. But yeah, like you said, it wasn't for anything.
It's just practice. It's just league,
That's crazy.
Like it just matters. Like for everybody, I mean, it's a personal goal eventually, like shoot a 300. So even though like it's just practice and it doesn't really count for anything, it's like more the pride on the inside of doing it. Yeah.
Yes. I made sure to tell everybody.
Yeah.
I shot a 300. Yeah, who cares?
I care, PJ.
My wife, I went home. My wife, she said, "What does that mean?"
I'm sure she was proud anyway.
Yeah, that's right. I guess I should ask, and maybe it doesn't go anywhere, but 3D.
Yeah.
Is that a game you're interested in?
I think for college, I want to try it.
Yeah.
I did 3D when I was younger, like just for fun, like maybe when I was 5 to 8 years old, just with a compound. Like it was fun. My dad would tell me to like sneak up on the animals because my bow wasn't like good enough draw weight to do the full distance. So I would like run up and shoot it from like 10 yards. And like it was fun and I enjoyed it. Like I've just never done it competitively.
Right.
So I'm willing to try it out. I don't know if I'll have to judge yardage at all for collegiate 3D.
For Olympic recurve,
I'm not
I
sure.
believe that's known distance.
Okay, so
I
that
believe
might
so.
be easier because judging distance scares me a lot. So as long as it's all known distance,
Yeah.
I would be more than happy to try it out.
So in 3D, we go to all the ASAs. There is an Olympic recurve. There's a young adult, and there's an adult Olympic recurve. They're not huge classes. What is it about the Olympic recurve that maybe doesn't translate over to 3D as well? Is it because it's so heavy? I mean, your biggest games are circle targets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's just like, I think whenever I think of 3D, I think of it as a compound game.
Right.
And it definitely can be shot with a recurve. I just like most of the time you see a lot more compounds there. And I think other than just enjoying 3D and like shooting 3D, I think most compounds do it for the money. Like that's some of the
Right.
best paying events you have. And most of the time, like people who shoot recurve, unless they're doing it professionally, aren't looking for the money. They're kind of looking to just do it for fun. So it depends on what fun means to them.
Yeah. They always seem to be having a good time. Anytime Kyle and I have gone to film with them,
Oh, that's good.
they're having fun.
Yeah, it seems like a fun time. I've just never really tried it with a recurve.
Yeah. All right, that is another episode of the Competition Archery Media Podcast. Casey, we appreciate you taking time from your busy schedule to be here today.
Well, thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
All right, folks, the Competition Archery Media Podcast, you can find that on all the platforms, wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Thanks for being here.